Hello and a warm welcome to this week's edition of Captains of Industry. I'm Alicia Seckham. In a world dominated by acronyms, applications and advancements, technology companies are battling out to retain competitive advantage. A company that understands just how tough the landscape can be, including how quickly market dominance can slip away, is Microsoft. The man at the helm of Microsoft South Africa's operations is Managing Director Mteto Nyati, and he's our Captain of Industry tonight. Thanks so much, Mteto, for joining us today. Well, let's get straight into things. I mean, 3.5 years at the helm of Microsoft South Africa, and last year the company realizing 22% growth in a context where the market only grew 8%. Not bad going, but safe to say it's been no easy feat either.
It's not been easy, and the road to get to where we are now, it took a lot of hard work, but I would say that the key to all of that was our people. You know, when you have people who are very focused on serving their customers and serving their partners, it makes that life so easy. Because right now, the key differentiator, what customers are looking for, they're looking for people who have a deep understanding of their problems and how to solve those problems. And we have those people.
Let's take a look at the person that's sitting at the helm of it all, though, and that is, of course, you. What's interesting is that this wasn't a company that was growing back in 2008 when you stepped in, and despite being positioned within an emerging market, I mean, you've been quoted saying that you've always been attracted to things that don't work. You've always taken on jobs that other people didn't want to take on. Is that because of the challenge that goes with what you're getting into?
Yeah, look, throughout my life, I really like to fix things. And it could be mechanical things, it could be systems, it could be processes. I like to do that. I get a thrill, I like that challenge. And in this particular case, we had a situation where we had a business that was not performing in line with the company's expectation. That was a big challenge. How do we get the business to do that? The important thing for us was to first of all understand what the issues were, and we kind of narrowed it down to a few things. One was about the people, the focus on the customers. Are we relevant to South Africa? Very important. And we found that we had many areas where we're not relevant as a company. We focus on those things, and those things over the last 3 years, it has helped us to be where we are now.
Of course, you've managed to steer this mammoth of a ship around. Does it get easier each time, though? Because even with your 12-year career at competitor IBM and turning things around on that end to become a profit engines as well, you know, what this has done is made this somewhat of your forte, turning things around.
Yes. It makes things easy, you know, but the problem is we're living in a world that is changing all the time. You know, things that worked in the past may not necessarily be the things that work today. So the important thing in all of this thing is one has got to have an eye and look at what is it that is happening in the market and focus on that thing. That means being very close to your customers, because those are the people that give you the necessary insight in terms of what is required.
So let's focus on Microsoft, because as you say, part of that turnaround strategy has been on making operations relevant within the South African context in the local markets. How do you, especially where the relevance of a product like this goes against accessibility to basic commodities and infrastructure, you know, the likes of water, power, food, the essentials. For bulk of the population, you know, this is very much seen as a discretionary item. And how do you break that perception in making them understand the value that comes along with a commodity like this?
Yes, I think the most important piece really is to start with understanding the challenges that our customers and our consumers are facing. If you look at, for example, in terms of South Africa, we've got service delivery problems. Behind all of that, there are systems that can help us to address those problems. So if you're engaging a particular department, let's say Department of Education or Department of Home Affairs or International Relations, you understand their challenges and demonstrate to them how, through the use of technology, you can help them to deliver those services better. That positions your company in a better space. People start to see value because you are talking to their business problems. This is really how we have been able to grow share in South Africa, because we're not just dumping product. We are listening to the problems and coming up with solutions. solutions even beyond Microsoft solution, putting together solutions from our partners, from our even competitors that can help address those problems.
Of course, as you've been highlighting, you know, dissatisfied customers and business partners with service level, one of the things that you've had to get on top of, how do you handle criticism, and to what extent does it influence your approach to business?
Look, very interesting question, because if you look at Microsoft, we are one of those companies. It's either people, they love us or they hate us. You know, the fact that we are big, people really like, they criticize you a lot. So we are finding forever ourselves in a situation where we are being criticized. And that makes us sharper. In fact, if you look at the people within Microsoft, you know, people saying the time for Microsoft is over. We're saying inside, it's actually motivating us. We're saying people will see. People will see that is who we are. As a company, we never give up. As a company, we continuously try and innovate and out-innovate our competitors. You know, look at it now. When you look at the phone space, people had already decided that we're no longer relevant in that space. Guess what we have done with Nokia? We have come up with a product that is really, really fantastic in Lumia. This is the kind of Microsoft that we are. Microsoft has really, really driven. Even that criticism is making us to be really, really special.
Well, ultimately, Microsoft aims as a business to assist governments, people, and business of actually reaching their full potential through technology. As a leader, how do you go about trying to get people to reach their full potential? Because as you highlighted right at the top, this business is premised on skill set and that human system, so to speak.
You see, the important thing here is that over time, as things change, the needs of the market change. What is important is that your people, the people that are working for you, they need to continuously be relevant in terms of what is required. Do they have the right skills to be able to serve our customers in the future? Can we look into the future, look at what will be required, and then start preparing the people now for what will be required in the future? And that takes planning. That takes a huge amount of analysis. So that is what we do. Myself and the leadership team and the managers of Microsoft are helping people, guiding them, giving them the necessary experiences so that when we get to the challenges of the future, people are well prepared and they are able to be successful. This is what we do. Training and continuously developing our people is one of the most important things within the Microsoft company.
So let's go through your philosophy on empowerment. I mean, what's your interpretation of empowerment and how do you empower? What do you see, what role do you see yourself playing in that context?
If I look at empowerment, there's an empowerment at an individual level. For example, within Microsoft, the people there, do we give all of the people the opportunity to be the best that they can be? Do they find a ceiling somewhere that prevents them from progressing? So the important thing is for us as leaders to remove all of those blockages, to remove and help people to be able to progress within the company. So that's one side of things. But the most important other piece for me when it comes to empowerment is how are the black people, people like myself, what is our contribution to society? What can we say we are giving to the world? This is what we need to be talking about. Not about looking at somebody who has already created his own company and taking a piece of that company. No, we need Africans coming up with ideas and driving and coming up with enterprises that are going to be global. That is why we went the route that we went as Microsoft, where we identify small black-owned companies, people with something that is unique, offering them the support that will help them to become global players. People that we as South Africans can be proud and say, yes, this is another SAB Miller. You know?
What does this say about your view then on the current model of empowerment that's articulated by government? Because clearly you think that there is a better way of empowering.
Look, there is a place for both. But what I'm saying is that if we want really to start to address problems like unemployment in this country, problems like lack of enterprises that can start to address the problems that are around us, we need to be focusing at different things. taking slices out of existing companies, that is not going to help us to solve the current problem. We need people who have got brains here. We need to apply those brains to the problems that are in front of us and create enterprises that address those problems. It is through that we are going to be able to solve the big problems that are in front of us. It is through that way that Microsoft now is an 80,000 people company.
And safe to say, Mteto, that this isn't all then altruistic. I mean, that there are selfish motives in mind as well, where the company benefits from putting this kind of strategy in play.
Well, I can tell you that it is so important that there needs to be a benefit for all the parties. If I am doing something, Alicia, and I'm just doing that thing for government, I'm not sure how motivated am I going to be to do that thing. However, if there's a win for government, there's a win for the individual or local companies, and a win for Microsoft, huge commitment. The resources that we would put there to make sure that we become successful, is very important. Whatever we do, let's make sure that we also have got something to gain out of that thing.
Of course, we talk about, this IT hub being formatted in South Africa for the African context, and it's in a context where there's extreme competitive pressure. How do you handle the business pressure from other multinational software companies, the likes of IBM, which has had you in its employ, Cisco, because it all boils down to survival of the fittest, survival of the most dynamic?
Yeah. We are living in a world where everything is kind of like connected. In order for us to be able to put together solutions that address the very complex challenges that we're facing in front of us, we need to be able to work with one another, irrespective of whether people are competitors or what, because the solutions that are required are complex. In fact, the more and more we move forward, it's not necessarily going to be just about Microsoft. It's going to be about, can Microsoft work together with Cisco and IBM to deliver a particular solution to the customer that addresses maybe, let's say, a country's problem.
Just how easy is it to go down that route, though, where everyone wants a bigger slice of that profit cake?
It is not easy, but it requires maturity. This is where leadership comes in, really, because at the end of the day, you're actually making the cake bigger. You can go and try and get 100%, and you may end up earning 100% of nothing in an approach which says the winner takes all. In an approach which says that all of us have got something unique that we can offer. In terms of addressing this solution, we can actually end up making the cake bigger.
So it's all about changing mindsets here, looking at your personality traits and your character. Just how adaptive a person are you, or is it a matter of you having to be in an industry like this that is just so fast changing?
There is no way that one can survive in this industry if your personality, if your makeup is somebody that is so rigid, because things are changing so fast. In fact, you need to, as a leader, you need to help people to unlearn the things that used to make them maybe successful only 2 years ago, and help them to learn new things. You've got to be the leader of that change on an ongoing basis. And if that is your nature, you are going to end up having stress. And I don't have stress.
Well, that's good to know. We'll be getting into how you're managing those stress levels straight after the break. Mteto, let's hit a pause on the discussion for now. Of course, we're heading into a short commercial break. We'll see you right after this.